Hi, everybody. I'm very, very happy to be here. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Salmini Sridhara Paul. I've been in the industry for about 25 years and been very actively involved with the music scene, with the talent scene. I currently am Senior Vice President with Hungama Digital Media. I run a platform called Hungama Artist Allowed, and I think this is one of the biggest reasons why I feel very close to what I'm here for. And what are we here for? So I want to talk about, to start with, the Delphic Games. And you must be wondering, what is Delphic Games? So Delphic Games is to art and culture what the Olympics is to sports. And we've all seen so recently the entire celebration that we all had with India, not only for the Olympics but the Paralympics as well. But we're here for arts and culture, and to talk about this beautiful platform. I have with me today someone that you all know, and I think she's been in the industry as long as me, but she's obviously way more popular and famous. And I feel absolutely honored, and I feel even more, personally honored because she's a very good friend. And, when I was told that I would get to have a conversation with her, I was like, of course, has to be. And I'm only talking about Shivani Kashyap. Hi, Shivani. How are you doing?
Hi, my dearest Somini. Good to see you. And it's been a long time since we met physically, but at least we've met online in a couple of interviews, I guess, over the two
Yes,
years since the
yes.
pandemic started. But it's such a pleasure to always, interact with you, jam with you, on topics about music and culture. So this is great.
I know, it's definitely. And I think, before we even get into talking more about what we're here for today, I think the beauty of what this whole platform is about is, art and culture is such a integral part of our lives, but we take it so for granted. And we've seen even how the pandemic has unfortunately not really given the required attention and support that talent and art and culture needs. And we're all hoping and praying that things come back to normalcy and we start going back to the events and touching the artist face to face, and that kind of stuff, because I don't think online can, take you that far after a point. But yes, we have to make do with what we have. So, Shivani, really, it's a pleasure to have you. Um, First of all, I'd like to ask you what's been happening with you. How have you been over this entire last 18 months, I would say?
Well, I'm pretty much trying to keep myself busy by creating more and more content. So I've done about 6 songs uh, in this past couple of months, and I think also trying to work a way around this lockdown and this pandemic situation, and trying to keep the art and culture alive in whichever way I can. Whether it is on the virtual medium or whether it's recording a song and just putting it out there on all the streaming platforms, or just performing virtually for people. And also there's been a lot of I would say a lot of inside inward looking, I would say, which has happened during this time, uh, where one has thought of reinventing oneself. Otherwise we've just been on one autopilot mode for the longest time, where we just keep going like the way we are. But I think this time was precious for all of us artists to reinvent, to modify, to evolve. So there's been a lot of thought process which has happened, and a lot of I would say a lot of evolution, and a lot of study, a lot of learning
Right,
which has
right.
happened this time. Yeah.
I would imagine one of the things that the online and the digital space has really brought to light is collaborations, and we hear so much about, especially, I mean, today's, conversation is a lot also about Sufism and Western music and, the amalgamation that these two bring together. What are your thoughts on that?
So this is actually a lovely topic, and I was very thrilled when you all suggested that we talk about this, because this is something
Right.
really after my own heart.
Right.
So, Somini, at the outset, before I even begin my thoughts, I'd like to quote something by the famous Sufi poet Rumi ji. And so he said something very beautiful about there's there's a soul within your soul.
Right.
uh, look for the jewel within the mountain of your body. There is a jewel in within that mountain of your body. O Sufi passing by, search within and not outside, search inside and not outside. So each time I listen to this, of course, when I listen to it in his Urdu way that he said it, is also very beautiful. But this is basically what the meaning is. That Sufism is basically trying to achieve the higher state of consciousness, and that too through music. So music
Right.
plays a very, very integral role in helping us to achieve that Sufi state of being, which is basically a higher state of consciousness, and you know connecting with divinity on its highest level. So when
Right.
you put divinity and bringing divinity in your music, that I think can be the best thing. So, and then when you do a fusion with Western music, that amalgamation, as you just said, that blend is absolutely magical, because it globalizes the whole thought. Because Sufism pretty much evolves from all the Arabic and the Muslim countries, is where it actually originated from, right? And then and the thought is so global, the thought is so pristine, and it's so divine, that when you blend that with the West, that music with the West, it really has a magical effect. So that's what
And
my
do,
thought is.
right. So do you think there's a lot of difference between, fusion, normal fusion and, fusion of Sufi and Western? How would you really distinguish the two?
I would say that definitely there is a lot of difference. So basically, the Sufi music, uh, the sound, or the even the energy that it gives you. I think that I'll work on energies a lot, because music gives you that energy, right? So the energy that it gives you is very divine, and you just when you kind of submit yourself and surrender yourself to divinity through music, and then you bring in different elements and different other genres of music, I think it just there can be nothing better than that. And
Right.
there is, I mean, okay, let's just, on a very mainstream pedestrian level, let's just talk about songs like Mere Rush Ke Kamar. The way Mere Rush Ke Kamar is actually a very Sufi kawali, right? So but the way it has become so popular, because people have done hip hop to Mere Rush Ke Kamar, people have done uh, like a very different rock kind of a theme to it. People have rendered this song, this kawali, in so many different genres across the world, across the globe. And you can see for yourself how unique and how different and how popular the effect is, when you combine the two of them together. So this fusion is definitely very, very unique in its own right. And
Right.
even without knowing literally, or the scripture, that okay, this is what you're talking about, the energy only makes you get into a transcendental mode. So it is very transcendental, and then when you kind of fuse any kind of music with it, it it definitely, it takes you on a higher level. So it's just an energy thing which I believe in, and the energy of this music that it
Right.
has it has that effect. Otherwise, there are many kinds of fusion music. You can have Indian classical with jazz, or you can have Western classical with jazz, or Western class, anything. Those become very two purest form coming together. That is also wonderful, but I think here it is a very limitless, without any boundaries kind of a feeling.
Right. Tell me, what's your thoughts on how Delphic, would play a role in promoting this kind of music, especially when it comes. Sorry, there's a helicopter flying by. Yeah.
such
Uh,
are the trials and tribulations of being on the virtual medium. We have to incorporate the helicopter sounds, the doorbell sounds. All welcome.
yeah. Sorry about
All
that.
are welcome.
Right.
It's a
So
fusion of sorts, right?
absolutely. But tell me, what's your thoughts on how Delphic is, can play a part in promoting this kind of music? Considering that Delphic is all about art and culture and is pretty, I would say, agnostic to any kind of genre. But Sufi, while it is niche and while it has a large following, it also needs a little bit of massification. So do you feel something like a Delphic platform would help enabling that?
Yes, absolutely. As you introduced the whole ideology of Delphi Games in the beginning of your conversation, that Delphi Games is what the Olympic Games are to sports, right? So
Correct.
Delphi Games are really pretty much, I think this is a very global platform. Of course, it's being the focuses are happening on different zones, but ultimately it will all culminate together on a global platform. So
Right.
I do believe that the plans are to showcase art and culture, not just in our own country, but our art and culture, Indian art and culture, abroad on global platforms. So I think this is the best platform to globalize Sufi music with Western music. This is the best platform because it'll give an opportunity to different kinds of artists coming together and doing a fusion, doing a jam, doing a blend, not just musical artists, but there's Sufi dance also. There is Sufi art, painting, calligraphy, as we call
Right.
it, right?
Right.
So there is so much which not people know. Many people know about calligraphy. Calligraphy is a Sufi form of painting where you know the. I mean, I don't know the intricacies, but uh, those kinds of things can be introduced to the world as well, and it's a very beautiful form of painting and art actually. So
It's
there's a
very
lot.
interesting. It's very interesting that you define Sufi like that because I think if you look at it, every genre. I mean, when you think of hip hop, right? There's hip hop dance, there's hip hop graffiti. I mean, there's artwork, there's hip hop music. I think if you look at it, every form of genre has a particular style of writing it, style of choreography to it. It's amazing. I mean, you can actually create a very genre-based, offering when you talk about getting people to really connect with that genre. But tell me one more thing, Shivani. I mean, you started your career, as an indie pop artist. You've done Bollywood. You were launched by a record label. Today, you're an independent artist who pretty much is defining her style. Where do you think, I mean, you're someone who's actually seen the evolution and the journey. Do you think of it as having evolved, to the positive, or do you feel, you should be able to go back to the late 90s?
Sometimes I would love to just go back to the late 90s because it is
Okay.
such a glorious time. I still feel sometimes I feel stuck in time. I'm like, I miss the age of CDs and records and music shops. Like
Yeah.
the Planetams, and where we used to have our music launches, where people used to browse through records and cassettes
Yeah.
and CDs to see which one they want to buy. And they used to bring back home a CD with, I can never forget, Sting is my most favorite artist. And I used to always keep looking for the latest releases by Sting, or, any other artist like John Mayer or whoever. And that would adorn my music shelf. But today it's all all on the internet. Everything is
Yeah.
so digital that you really it's everything is on a click. So
Yeah.
I miss the, I mean, of course, this is very, very high tech. It's a time saver, and I don't need to go to a music shop anymore. But I miss doing that. I miss the whole experience of going all the way to the music shop, searching for the music, getting onto the headphones there and listening, choosing my record, what I want to buy. There used to be a vibe. There used to be so much fun doing that, and it's also memorabilia,
Yeah.
which you miss.
Yeah.
But keeping those CDs, I still have like trunks and trunks of CDs and cassettes. I don't know what to do with them. I just don't have the heart to throw them because there's
Yeah.
so much memory attached to it. Because my
Yeah.
very first album was Ho Gayi Hai Mohabbat with HMV, and there are cassettes also and there are CDs also. I'm like, that era is something that I was very integrally a part of. So I do miss the 90s a lot, where there was a method to the madness. There was a method. I'm sure you know all about it, because since you were with Channel V that time, how the
Yeah,
artists used to come and promote their songs on the different
yeah,
channels, and the channels used to play our songs, uh, radio used to play our songs, and and then we used to have those road shows, the Channel V road shows, which I've been part of, and
yeah,
basically physically going out there and performing and promoting your music. So
yeah.
it was really a lovely, glorious era for pop music, for independent music, for pop music, indie pop music. I wish, sometimes I really wish that we could recreate it, but there's been so much of evolution, growth, changes, which have happened through the years now, that we have to keep up with the times. We have to keep modifying ourselves with the times. We can't stay back there, otherwise we would be history. So
It's so funny when you spoke a lot about the shops and going to the stores and stuff. I have to tell you about this experience that I had personally, because I worked for a very short stint in Universal Music when we released Falguni Pathak's album and Leslie Lewis's album, and the first marketing initiative was to create point of sale merchandise at the stores. And Planet M's and Audio Junction and all of these stores were the key places where people would go and buy. And you're so right, it's all about, I mean, today, even I have like a whole like a bag of CDs. You have those actually CD albums that used to be sold. I have that, and I feel like I don't feel like giving it away just because I need to make, who knows, 20, 30 years down the line, you can actually send it out, I mean, sell it out and auction it out as something, which is like vintage material or something like that. So,
yeah, it will become,
yeah,
it could be, yeah. So hang on to it, I would say.
I said, no, seriously.
Yeah.
But tell me this, when you talk about music today, right? Of course, there's a place for every kind of music. There's place for ghazals, there's place for classical, there's place for, you do have fans of different kind. We've seen even Bollywood music, made by people like Sanjay Leela Bhansali, who have made it so traditional, and they've actually attracted the young audience. If there's a strong melody, I think the audience is willing to take on even hardcore Indian traditional sounds, as well as, it's not that they're only influenced by the West. But do you feel that, for music to sustain, there needs to be an Indian and Western integration, and for people, I mean, for it to have more commercial value? Do you feel that?
Absolutely, Somni, because you take the example of Gully Boy, it's rap which has become such mainstream now, right?
Right.
So I think the youth primarily is listening to a lot of international music, thanks to all the streaming platforms available on the click of a finger for them. So they are very well acquainted with the Dua Lipas of the world, with the you know with Justin Bieber and all the new ones who've come about now. So it's like it's Drake, Katy Perry meets A.R. Rahman kind of a situation now. It has to be a fusion, because that's how the youth is gonna accept it and make it viral, because they are the ones who are deciding what music is going to do well, because they are the ones who are the biggest listeners. They're the most frequent listeners. So people like us are still, we are Gen X now, so we have that whole variety of songs from our generation to the generations much before us. But
Mm.
this generation, which is the Gen Z only knows the music of today, and primarily hip hop and R&B is what is really doing well. And if you fuse that with Indian music, I think it kind of is successful. So that's how things
Right.
are. This is the need of the hour at the moment. And so if you come up with even a very melodic romantic song and you R&B-fy it, kind of a thing, even if it's a very Indian tune, but you
Right.
Western it, rather. I'm not saying just R&B. I'm just giving an example, but you just Westernize it in some sort of way.
Right.
So then it would definitely go down very well with the youth. The
Yeah.
youth is definitely not looking for the just tabla sarangi sitar. They're looking for a Western groove.
Yeah.
Western sound, something different, something very, very international. So
Right. I
that's
think
really
what
cool.
I also find about the Gen Z is that they are so hooked on, or rather they are constantly looking for new sounds. We are possibly of the age we love to listen to the older content, and we want to hear things that we've heard before. We're not so ready to be exposed to new things. But I think that is very different with either the millennials or even Gen Z. They have no inhibitions for newness. And we see this even with regional talent and regional content, right? They want to have their regional flavor, even if it is contemporary and westernized. So it's very interesting the way, the whole consumption pattern has changed. And how do you, as an artist, I mean, you've sung English, you've sung Punjabi, you've sung Hindi as well. Have you looked at yourself from a regional point of view, or you've looked at yourself always as a pan-Indian artist?
So I think ever since I started my career, I always thought of myself as a, you know, a pan-Indian artist or even maybe global. So I was more inclined towards doing English songs and English music because somehow I was brought up on that kind of music, being an army kid, So
Right,
rock and roll and jazz and the Carpenters and this kind of music was always playing in on the records at home, or then it was ghazals. So it's about the conditioning that you're brought up on. So so I always thought of myself more as a complete musician rather than just being a voice or a playback singer alone. I thought, I should come with a whole package: singing, performing, the look, my thoughts, my social messages attached to my music. So, but I never really thought of regional at all. And my roots are Punjab, and recently, just in the second
right,
lockdown, in fact, I released a Punjabi track called Jogia, and it did pretty well. Uh, and it's a very Thet Punjabi song. And I suddenly got a call from another music label, Eros now, that they wanted me to sing another Punjabi song. So I recorded another Punjabi song, and that got released recently. And now, just a few days back, I've come up with another Punjabi song, which is a remake of an old folk song called Bohe Bariyan. And I, of course, westernized that very much because, again, I've always operated uh, with that motive and that thought that whenever I make a very traditional song or a song which is sounding very Eastern, even my song like Sajna Abija,
right,
it's a very ghazalish. अगर आप उसको ऐसे ही सुनो, नहीं लगता तेरे बिना दिल मेरा, हाय नहीं लगता तेरे बिना दिल मेरा. It could be a ghazal if I hadn't treated it the way
right,
I treated it. But
right,
I happened to be in UK when I was, when I met this music producer there, and I had this tune in my mind, and I said, why don't I just do an experiment? So I met up with this guy called Jimmy, who works a lot with Bali Saghu, and I'm talking about the early 2000s. And then we created this track, which was so different, such a different interpretation. He actually added a vocoder effect and an auto tuning effect in my voice. He used sounds which I had never heard before, to be honest with you. So that is why I think the song became even more unusual and unique. And so I think since then I have been operating on that method, that to make a song, if it's very traditional, give it a very, 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 very hip hop sound.
right.
uh, Recently, I did a track with a London-based music label called Your Damn Self with DJ Sin, who's based in London. So there's a very old folk song called Ishq Awalla. I sent my vocals to them, and it's actually a kawali. But they've sent it back, and it's released. It's out on all the audio streaming platforms. It's the music is so unique. It's got a complete hip hop rhythm, uh, R&B, and then there's rap happening in it. So the whole song sounds, wow, like something from the world. It sounds like a world music song. So I think I've always loved to do these kinds of things, and they work for me. Even Zinda Hu Main is a very Sufi, very Qawwali-ish again. It's not a pop song. But when Nikhil Chanappa did his EDM mix to it, it became like a super hit because
Right.
youth instantly connected with it. Yeah, the sound is
Right.
great, and the lyrics and the music is also very unique because it's not typical. So whenever you give people something which is not predictable, it definitely works.
Tell me another thing, Shivani. I mean, we've seen today there's so much of content being released, right? Like you said, you've been in the indie pop scene where there was a little bit of sanity in terms of how many albums used to be released. There was a longer shelf life. Today, we are seeing so many releases and so many new talent. How do you think a platform like Delphic, can actually create a further enhancement into what artists are already doing? And do you feel that there is a need for that?
Yes, there's a tremendous need for that, and I think Delphic can actually, with the lovely plans that I have been, I've been interacting with some of the members from Delphic, and of course, I had the good fortune of speaking with Sahil Sethi ji, and of course Suresh Thomas, who's the one who introduced me to
Right.
Delphic. So I think the plans are great, that they would want to have festivals and events very regularly, and that's really important, because what I feel is that when you do events and when you physically perform, and people, when they hear you live, they take back that music with them far more than if it's being thrusted upon them. I think when they hear it live is the best way to promote and popularize your art. So whether
Correct.
it's music, or again, or if it's a play, or it's a dance performance, or it's a stand-up comedy, or if it's painting art, when you're there to witness it and to watch it, to see it, it has a it has a much bigger and better impact. So such kind of events, such kind of networking meets which can happen, festivals, if they happen on like a regular level, maybe weekly, monthly, once in 3 months, whichever, I think that will take art and culture in India a long way to thrive. It'll really truly thrive.
Yeah. No, I think, and the beauty of a country like India is there's so many genres. I mean, we look at how folk has also suddenly become so popular. We're seeing, some of the most established artists collaborating with folk talent. And I think the collaboration side of music has suddenly gained so much of momentum. One of the things that Delphic also has been, discussing is looking at creating talent hunt opportunities, where you're possibly identifying a particular genre and opening it up for talent that have either not had the chance to get that that visibility for themselves, or even the opportunity to go out there and make themselves visible. So is that something you feel that is going to create a higher momentum, and more artists and talent will put themselves out there?
Yes, absolutely. Because if these kind of opportunities are given, then I think upcoming talent, people who don't get that kind of visibility, and there are talent shows happening in India, but they're limited. So
Correct.
everyone can't be a part of it. And I'm sure in a country like India, there must be so much of talent. So with this platform, they can fill in the gap. They can fill in the gap. They can enhance, and they give an opportunity to lots of performing artists, lots of performing artists. It'll be absolutely amazing.
Do you also feel that this, I mean, with Delphic coming now to India, India has obviously been known for Bollywood. It's been known now, thanks to Olympics, also a few of the sports names have got visibility. Cricket was always another synonym to India. Do you feel Delphic will help the globe and the world see India for its true culture and its true art and talent forms, which has been here for so many years, but just hasn't had the opportunity to just get noticed?
Yes, I think that's what is going to be the main thing which will come out. Indians on the globe, India on the globe, with
Right.
their art and culture and talent, and that's everything. So I think in the world of sports, as you said, in Olympics, we've really proved ourselves so beautifully. So
Yes.
why not in arts and culture also? Why not we go out there and win more Oscars and Grammys, right?
Correct.
So yeah, so you never know. This could be just the bridge to that. Where people, artists can actually from India can actually be seen in the across the globe, winning awards, doing performances, and being a part of the mainstream. We still need to be on the mainstream. You know, our music uh, really needs to be heard much more than it is globally.
Yeah.
Our
What's your
movies
take?
do, but our
Right.
movies do get an opportunity, but our music does not. Us, are still
Right.
our music, especially our independent music, which is still a long, long way to go before it becomes global. It's still
Right.
not.
Do you feel the pandemic gave an opportunity for the independent talent to get some visibility in the absence of Bollywood, or do you think once Bollywood comes back, it's going to be the same, rut again?
So that I can't say what will happen when Bollywood comes back, because Bollywood is larger than life. And yes, in this the lacuna which happened during the pandemic, where too many, I mean, people couldn't go to the theaters. And honestly speaking, when there are no theaters, the kind of Bollywood music, the way it's promoted, it does not have that kind of promotion just on OTT. So I think a lot of artists got an opportunity to express their music, singles, independent singles, and a lot of actors also jumped into featuring into singles of singers. So once a lot of actors, like I did a song called Jogia, where I had featured a TV actor called Dheeraj Dhupar in it, who's a very, very popular television actor. So similarly, like that, in many artist singles, I could see that there were popular Bollywood actors featuring. So that that lacuna was filled by independent music, by indie music, by non-film music, so to speak. It definitely thrived a lot. It's still thriving, and the kind of, I mean, every day these days now a shoot is happening, a music video shoot is happening. So this was not the case before.
Right.
I think it has started a demand for indie music once again. So I
Correct.
truly hope that parallelly, even when Bollywood will come back, parallelly this demand and this will be on, unless the artists kind of shift gears back only into Bollywood. No, no, no. That artists will say,
Right.
"Nahi, yaar, chhodo, let's just go back to focusing on singing only for Bollywood, and let's not do our independent singles." I think
Right.
both the fires should keep burning simultaneously.
Correct. No, yes, I think, definitely what's missing is being able to see artists like you face to face. So that's one thing that, of course, everyone is wanting to, get back to. But it was a pleasure speaking to you, Shibani, and we really hope to have more of your presence as Delphic, takes this journey of bringing art and culture of India onto the global stage. And yeah, I think it's been brilliant talking to you.
Thank you, Somani, and the questions were amazing, very stimulating as usual. Thanks a lot, and thank you once again to the Delphic Games for making this possible for us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.